The following program was produced by CTV Community Television.
Good evening. I'd like to call the regular Board of Education meeting for February 23rd, 2026 for East China School District to order. Can we please stand for a moment of silence and a pledge of allegiance? I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, items of interest, recognition, and inquiry. Board of Education members.
I have two. If you guys want me to go first, I'll go. As much as I hate to give Darren Pietrzakowski a lot of credit, I do want to say something about the Lady Saints. The girls basketball program, the varsity program, is 18-0 and undefeated in league play this year. 10-0 undefeated MAC Gold Conference champions. 18-2 overall in play this year. It's pretty amazing. They won the Jim Weimer tournament for the first time in the school's history, and they're on a 12-game win streak. He did write these down for me. I did ask him for them. And he'll be the #1 seed heading to districts. He's done a heck of a job with that girls program, and the future is bright. The JV program was 16-2 this year. Looks just as good. It's going to be a good program for a long time, regardless of leadership. So that's amazing. And also, I'd like to mention that there are 3 wrestlers going to Ford Field March 6th this year. That's pretty amazing. We've had a lot of years in the past where there were no wrestlers. The last 3 years we've had a few, but to have 3 kids this year, and the other 2 kids who made it to regionals, Nick Vitale and Jack Lambert, lost in the blood round, 1 match away, both of them very close matches. So I'd like to congratulate Jay Stockwell, Ethan Foro, and Christian Haslam on that accomplishment. Pretty exciting to have 3 guys going to Ford Field. So that's all I have.
Well, you took my Lady Saints,
I didn't think
congrats,
anybody would
but
do
you
it.
have a lot more
Well,
stats
Petro-
than I do.
Petro
Yeah,
wrote
that
them
was
down,
good,
so.
that was good. Yeah, I've been watching them the past few weeks just to watch it. I just keep excelling and excelling and excelling, and it's pretty exciting to go in as the #1 seed.
Yeah, good looking team.
Yep.
Anybody else?
I'll echo the basketball programs, both schools. Congratulations, wrestling as well. And wanted to mention I was able to tour the open house up at RISA on last week. Pretty amazing. Saw a lot of Saints Mariners up there. Very happy, very informative. It was a very nice tour.
All right, Suzanne.
Yes, I also want to echo the girls' basketball program. I made it to both the St. Clair Saints senior night and the Marine City Mariners senior night, and they've taken on a new tradition where they do a cool little handshake with their dad or mom as they come running out, and it's just fun to see how we celebrate our seniors before they leave us and head off into the world. And there was a good crowd at both Marine City and St. Clair for both of those senior girls games. So that was neat. And then I like seeing everyone here tonight. Thank you for being here. And especially want to thank Savannah for being here with us tonight with her dad.
All right, thank you. Next item, academic spotlight. St. Clair High School, Dave Maru, principal. St. Clair High School pilot classes, Jake Durham, Stephanie Gill, and Bob York. Come on down.
Good evening, Superintendent Cybula, President Westrick, members of the board. We're super excited to be here this evening, and I have the opportunity this evening to highlight a few of our pilot classes that we have offered at St. Clair High School. Every few years, we try to go through our course offerings and look for ways to entice students to try new things. We have had a significant number of our friends that want to try some online classes, and I just feel like for many kids, online learning isn't always for everyone, and so we really wanted to find some new courses, and so last year I offered out to my staff, and a few of them took advantage of an opportunity to pilot, so we're hoping to pilot this past year and then next year and kind of get a read in how the classes are received, and then submit them for final approval. So this evening I have 3 teachers here with me. The first that I'd like to introduce is Mr. Bob York, and he has piloted our meteorology course this year.
Hello, everyone. I'm Bob York, and I am known at St. Clair as the snow day guy. You've probably heard the kids asking whether we're gonna have a snow day, and I tell them the flat-out truth. If I really think there's gonna be a day, I'll flat-out tell them, and they get a little mad when I say we're not having one, but it's something that we talk about in almost every one of my classes, whether it's chemistry, physics, whatever. They like to just talk about the weather, and so I figured, why not create a class for it? These are the 8 topics that we do discuss throughout the semester. We get into metric conversions, but in that section, we also cover what jobs they could get if they chose to go into meteorology. And it's not just a weatherman or a weatherwoman, it's the graphics designer, it's the producers. I'm looking right now to get a field trip next year to go do a tour of the Fox station. So if anyone's got a little bit of a hookup, because they didn't get back to me this year, that'd be great. We'd have to go at 4 in the morning, but I think the kids would really get some great experience seeing some of that. But we do go through the basics of Earth science, where we cover the layers of the atmosphere and where all this water comes from before it actually turns into our weather. The last chapter that we cover is severe weather. We didn't get a lot of time with that last semester, but we'll go through tornadoes and hurricanes. I've been through 2 tornadoes and 1 hurricane, Hurricane Andrew back in '92. And I think it's great experience for me to be able to tell them about what I've been through and the safeties that you could have to take, whether you live in Michigan or whether you live down south. So these are just some of the labs that we've done. This is our heat capacity lab, where they take water and soil, they heat them up to a certain temperature, and then they turn the heat off and they watch how quickly the temperature drops. All it took was a couple heat lamps and a couple thermometers, and the kids really get a lot out of this. They said this was actually one of their favorite labs from the year, which is such basic tools to use, but they've taken so much from it. We have a temperature pressure lab to show what happens as you put pressure inside of a closed container. We treat that closed container like the earth. They pump it anywhere between 20 and 120 times, and they watch the thermometer inside as they're doing this lab. It takes roughly 20 or 30 minutes, but just a little hands-on gets these kids a little bit excited, and they have a good time with it. Lots of projects. Every chapter has a project. This was just our global winds and local winds. We talk about where our weather comes from. They learned that Seattle is the place that I look the most. I have a buddy that lives out in Seattle, and I know whatever he's getting, we're getting about 3 or 4 days later. And so we talk about that a lot too. We had a seasons project where they had to break down all the 4 seasons and just kind of explain what parts of the world get these 4 seasons and how we are one of the lucky states that get to see spring, winter, summer, and fall. Places in the south, they don't get to see all the different colors and the snow. And they've kind of understood that we might have rough winters, but Michigan is one of those lucky places in the world where we can see all that. We had a phase diagram where they took ice and basically melted it down into water and then turned it over to steam, and then they drew out the phase diagram to show exactly where the water was still collecting the heat before it actually changed over into a phase. I think that's all I got.
Fantastic. Questions
you.
for
Oh, yeah.
Bob with our meteorology class? The kids have really enjoyed it. We purchased a weather,
I didn't bring that up. I do have a weather station. We're trying to get that installed right now, so my accurate knowledge is gonna be even better, and I can predict all these snow days to call Suzanne and let her know when we're having it. I told you to stop calling them, just ask me.
perfect. Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, that was awesome.
Yeah, it's been well received, and it really gives our kids something new and just freshened up our course offerings. Next, we had Jake Durham piloted our history of rock and roll. I had the pleasure of taking this course at Oakland. It's part of those cognates that every kid has to take, and many times people don't want to take Music 100 because it's so historically based. So this is one of the ones that the colleges offer, and Jake had the opportunity to teach it at another district, so we thought it would be something worth bringing to St. Clair.
Thank you, Dave. Hi, I'm Jake Durham, and I teach history of rock and roll. I've always been extremely passionate about music since I was a kid. I just love sharing anything music related with as many people as possible. We talk about a lot of things in history of rock and roll because it connects with so many things. We look at historical and cultural developments across the decades and how music changed with those developments. We look at how race, youth culture, protest, identity shapes popular music, and vice versa. Really kind of a two-way street. We look at technology and how that's changed over the decades and what impact that's had on music. We look at how that's changed how people can consume the music and the pros and cons of that. Classify songs by genre, era. We look at defining features across the decades. We learn stories about some of the bigger artists, landmark albums. Sometimes have them do like an album review. We did an album review first semester of the Beatles' Sgt. Pepper's, and just did a listen through all the way through. I found that a lot of kids haven't really listened to like an actual album. It's mostly just kind of songs here and there. So for them to sit, we took a couple stretch breaks. So because, you know, they need that little break. But many kids have never listened to an actual full album before. So we kind of talked about that as a cohesive piece and how that has influenced music over time. We start in the 1950s. We talk about how blues, jazz, gospel, country music kind of really influenced the development of rock and roll. And then we just carry on through the decades looking at different genres that developed over time. If we're lucky, we get into the 1990s. Snow Days kind of cut us short on that. Thanks a lot, Bob. I'm kidding. So yeah, and there's a lot for kids to digest as we move throughout the decades. One project we do right off the bat is just, have kids think about what role music has played in their lives. And I think kids are kind of surprised how far back it goes in their lives with some of their earlier memories. Sometimes in grade school, and just, having memories as a toddler, but also thinking about today and what role music plays in their lives today. And sometimes they don't think about how big of a role or how big of an impact music has on their daily life. Another project, we spend quite a bit of time on the Beatles during the 1960s, but I try to not just focus on that decade that we're talking about. I try to incorporate that into modern music. So hey, let's pick a more modern artist or someone that you're interested in, and see how the Beatles have influenced them. In our unit on soul music, we do kind of a local history thing where we look at Michigan-based artists to see, how many homegrown artists have come out of Michigan and what impact they've had on music culture and society throughout the years. I think students really enjoy the class because in some cases, some of the music they already know becomes a little more meaningful historically. And sometimes, for many kids, they've never heard anything pre the year 2000, so they're exposed to a lot of new music. They find a personal connection with the music, really creates a space for diverse interests and identities. And they become active listeners as well. It's not just, hey, let's put this song on, let's listen for influences and see where this artist is coming from and where they're getting their influences from. I have a couple of videos, students talking about the class. This is Ethan.
My name's Ethan.
He's going to tell you. He's Ethan Foro. He's a senior at St. Clair High School.
Better sing it.
Ethan Foro, and this semester I took the class History of Rock and Roll taught by Mr. Durham. I thoroughly enjoyed this class while I was in it, and most of my peers have enjoyed it as well. Some of my favorite parts were learning about some of my favorite artists and the drive behind their music. For people who have any interest in rock and roll or music in general, I feel would enjoy this class. Thank you for the opportunity to speak a little bit about this course.
And here's Hazel Van Heck, also senior at St. Clair High School.
I took History of Rock and Roll this past semester, and I loved it. I recommend it to everybody who says they have a free spot in their schedule. And I do it even if they don't have a free spot. I say take it. I looked forward to it every day. Mr. Durham was like the best teacher for it, because he knows everything about that type of stuff, and he puts a little spunk into it. Anyway, The only complaint I have is that I wish it was 2 semesters, because it felt kind of very condensed, and it would have been more fun if we could have explored more things.
I want to use that video too. Yeah,
I'm sorry?
I want to use that video too. That was good for you.
I could not use that one, yeah.
Does anyone have any questions about history of rock and roll?
Right.
It's been also very well received and given us just a new, fresh offering. So we're looking forward to offering it next year as a continuation of our pilot and hopefully giving the kids some new fun course options. So thank you.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And last but certainly not least, we have Stephanie Gill, another one of my history teachers, who actually had, she works with Tim Zuba, and Tim has taught this course in Chippewa Valley, and it was well received, and so it's always something that's intrigued me. And so Stephanie brought this one to me as well.
Hi, I'm Stephanie Gill, and I thought it would be fun because I love history, number one, but I thought it'd be fun to come at history by looking at all the conspiracies. And the kids, I mean, they hear a lot of things, but they themselves haven't really explored it. So it's been kind of a great class to kind of step into these conspiracies and see where they're going. So let me just flip here. So I told the kids, you know, I'm their teacher, but we're going to go on this dive into head first into history, and we're going to look at all the conspiracies. Because it's a pilot course, I'm still feeling my way with them and with what scandals and what things that we're looking at. And I'm also asked the kids for their own feedback. What do you find interesting? And so I tell them to think of this class as less of a history class, but more of a top secret investigation team where they're the detectives, I'm the lead investigator, and we're gonna go into history and we're gonna find out the truth. And that's really what we're looking for. We're looking for the truth. And so one of the things I wanted to do was to teach the kids how to look at sources, because they are inundated with the internet. And the internet has a lot of misinformation. And so one of the things I wanted to do as we were starting to get into this course was, you know, how are conspiracies? How do they start? How do they spread? Why do people believe them? When and why are they convincing? Why do people believe it? And why do, you know, the misinformation that's out there? And, you know, a lot of people think where there's smoke, there's a fire. So my whole purpose of this class is to teach them really how to think critically instead of just accepting information at face value. And so the very first unit of this course, I teach them on how to evaluate sources. And we have a whole breakdown where the kids look at the currency of a source, you know, who's the author, is it fact, is it opinion? We get into what is bias, what is not, because the reality is I have an 80-year-old mother who reads on the internet. I'm like, Mom, I don't even know where you learned this from. And my mom will say some crazy stuff, but she thinks because she reads it on the internet that it's good. And so, you know, and our kids, that is the way we're going. And so anyways, we look for credibility, we look and understand all the different types of biases are out there. And then I want them to be able to decide whether this source is reliable, misleading, or false. And so it's a great way to have them look at it. So when I broke this course down, I broke it down into units. The first was, what is a conspiracy? Why are we studying it? Why do we hear about it? And some of the conspiracy they talk about, like the kids know the Illuminati symbol and they'll throw up the triangle because they've seen people like, you know, Rihanna throw up the symbol when she's giving a speech, and where does it come from? So the historian is like, well, we got to go back and look, why did this start? And then once we go into that in that first unit, we start to look at understanding the sources that we have. And as we get more into it, then we come into historical conspiracies. We just finished the JFK assassination, and that one's really fun because I have this class designed for the kids to be very active. And so I'm not testing them. What I'm doing is we're doing activities. So I put them in pairs and in groups, and I'll assign, you know, the grassy knoll theory for JFK, the magic bullet, and I have each of these groups go into find me good sources, find me bad sources, tell me why they're good, why they're bad, and they go down that thing, and then we anchor it with the movie JFK, which is done from a conspiracy point of view, and it's wonderful because at the end of it, I say to the kids, you know, now we've done it, what do you think? Do you think it was conspiracy, or do we believe the Warren Commission? Because I always give a little background before I go into these. about what it was, why the Warren Commission came about and so on. And so the kids really like it, and I was surprised to see how much they enjoyed the older, conspiracies that are out there. And then we get into the internet, the fake news, the misinformation, and we do a really cool, thing where I have the kids test algorithms and continue, and they start monitoring where, the first time you clicked on it, what came up, and how many times more, the more you clicked, the more the algorithms came. And it really made them realize that that's why your feeds get full of whatever, if you're into, I don't know, bunnies, and all of a sudden all you see is bunnies, bunnies, bunnies type thing. Personally, I like the little monkey at the moment with this little stuffed animal. My algorithm's full of it because obviously I clicked on it once and it's going on and on. And then we get to modern conspiracies, and the kids like those too because we did 9/11. We've done COVID, and we've looked at it. And again, I'm not here to drive any type of thing. I want the kids to evaluate for themselves, to come up. And one of the things that anchors in this class is a lot of writing, because I ask them for their feedback. Why is it? Why are you looking at this? And then eventually we get to the very end, and this was a great, unfortunately we had a technical glitch and my video is not available, unfortunately, but I had the kids create their own conspiracy. And so they took all the things they learned and they came up with some great conspiracies. I had, kids do, the one was called Sockgate, and where does that other sock go that in the dryer? Why do you only ever have one? And it was, in their thing, it was a little gnome that was stealing the socks. I mean, just fantastic. And I was so happy to see that they could apply what they learned and in that application understand, these are the things, and they, with everything, I give a huge rubric, and so they match the rubric. So it's been a really fun class, and it's developing, because like I said, it's my first time teaching it, and I'm like, okay, this is great, I'm gonna work on this, and I asked the kids for the feedback, which ones did you like, and whatnot, but it was fun, and I really enjoyed, at the very end, watching them create their own conspiracies. It's really nice to see students really take and synthesize all the information that you give them, and they put it into their own creative way. So I'm hoping that they'll continue, and we'll continue on doing this class. Thank you.
Thank you.
Does anyone have any questions for Stephanie or about conspiracies?
We can talk later.
Thank you all very much for the opportunity to present tonight.
Thank you.
Enthusiastic about it, which is the selling point.
All right, the next item, special recognition, East China Educational Foundation grants, Mike Domagowski, Chair.
All right, Superintendent Sybula, President Westrick, and East China Board and community as well. I am honored to chair the East China Educational Foundation, and tonight is a great night because we get to hand out some awards that were granted actually last week. So I'll get right into it. I first want to thank Superintendent Sybula. 2 weeks ago, she acknowledged all the East China Educational Foundation board members. I see some in the audience tonight, some sitting here as well with me today, and it doesn't happen without the work of all of the foundation members, the sponsors at our events. We just had our Chili Heart event Saturday, February 7th. Our sponsors were fantastic. And then also the registrants as well at either the golf outing, the Chili Heart event, and even donors. So we appreciate everyone, but I appreciate Superintendent Sybula for acknowledging all of our foundation members as well. So the endowment fund is through the Community Foundation of St. Clair County, and with today's Spring 2026 awards, over $260,000 has been given out since the inception of the foundation. The 2026 grant recipients tonight, we have 16 grants totaling just over $10,500 to support projects ranging in value from $250 to $750. The first recipient is Lori Hannon. Sure, yeah. If there's any East China Foundation board members, if you can come forward, that would be fantastic. No problem. Yeah, I know we have Secretary Becker, correct, and Mr. Miller here.
Shake hands with them. Do you have any other board members here?
Don't see any. No, we're good. Okay. Good handle that. Great, thank you. I'm going to ask Mr. Miller to hand out the recipients. We have Lori Hannon from the St. Clair campus. She will purchase a variety of art supplies for students in grades 6 through 8. And Lori, if you want to just take stand over there. Next, we have Chris Blackstock from Bell River Elementary and Palms Elementary Schools. He will purchase STEM items for young 5s and 4th grade and 5th grade students for hands-on engineering units, chemical and physical changes of matter units, and ecology units. Congratulations to Jody Guzowski of St. Clair River Elementary. She'll purchase manipulatives for hands-on learning centers to assist in name recognition. I don't see Jody. Rachel Radigan from the Early Childhood Center received a grant that will enhance the ECC entrance and office space with seasonal items, interactive books, toys, and functional displays to communicate with parents. Next is Barb Smith from the Marine City campus. I see Barb. She received a grant that will go towards 4 Science Alive hands-on presentations for 6th grade students to learn about the adaptations that these animals have. Next is Jamie Smith from the St. Clair campus. Jamie will purchase items to create building thinking classrooms in the middle school math department. Congratulations, Jamie.
Thank you.
Stacy Schweihofer from Palms Elementary received a grant towards 4 Ozobots for 4th and 5th graders to utilize in technology class. I have seen these in person. They are amazing. They're pretty cool. Kids are fully engaged in those. Emily Cobean from Bell River Elementary School will purchase book sets and series for a wider selection of texts in her 2nd grade classroom. Yeah. Allison Nowak from Palms Elementary received a grant that will provide a ukulele storage rack for 3rd, 4th, and 5th grade students. Take that one. Caitlin Kling-Dietlin from St. Clair campus will purchase items to create building thinking classrooms in the middle school math department as well, just like Jamie. Keisha Rowland from the Innovation Center received a grant that will go towards lab equipment for biology students in 11th and 12th graders. And Elizabeth Westrick will purchase Chomp's Shop equipment to help build hands-on engineering skills for 6th, 7th, and 8th grade students. Congratulations, Elizabeth. Laura McDonald from the St. Clair campus received a grant that will purchase Everyone Can Be a Reader series books that are designed for readers with dyslexia. Jennifer Forgetto from the Innovation Center in eStar will purchase supplies to continue the interactive cooking and art projects that teach nutrition and practical life skills. A lot of hands-on stuff. Katie Rollins from the St. Clair campus received a grant that will provide students with special education needs with materials for hands-on learning and supplemental reading materials for the classroom. And TJ Schindler will purchase 3 new iPads to be used with the strength and conditioning software in the, correct me if I'm wrong, newly renovated and painted weight room at St. Clair campus, right? Looks really great. So congratulations, TJ. Congratulations to all of our recipients. Just as a reminder, the foundation does host 2 major fundraising events each year. You can join us at the 4 golf outing, which is already set for August 10th, 2026, where we will be soon taking sponsors, but get your golf clubs ready. And yes, we've already started planning for the February 6th, 2027 Chili Heart event. I'm going to go ahead and ask Mr. York to make sure that it's not as cold as it was this year, being that he has a lot of that meteorology background. So this year was definitely the coldest we've had, but it won't be like that next year. So just wanted to shout that out. So congratulations to all of our grant recipients. If anyone is willing, you can make a check payable to the Community Foundation of St. Clair County, East China Educational Foundation. We love getting those donations. We do get checks that come in, and they can be sent right there to that address right here to the superintendent's office on Meisner Road. So congratulations once again to all the recipients. If we can get a quick picture, that would be great.
If anybody would like to leave at this time before we enter the less interesting portion of the board meeting, you're welcome to. Okay, the next item is the consent agenda, the approval of minutes, rescheduled regular Board of Education meeting, February 9th, 2026, approval of payment of bills, financial statement, and schedule of investments. Motion is needed.
So moved.
Support.
Any comments or questions? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Pose same sign. Motion carries. Next item, department reports.
Good evening. I will reserve my comments to later on in the agenda. Thank you.
Good evening. I wanted to provide the board and the community with a quick update with regard to the dyslexia bill, which takes effect in the state of Michigan during the 27-28 school year. The district has convened a team of teachers and administrators to attend a workshop series at the St. Clair County RESA. And we are currently dissecting the bill and what the implications are for the district. It is a K-12 bill. And basically it boils down to having sound MTSS practices. So what are we doing when students start to struggle? And I, along with the team, feel really good about a lot of the pieces that we've put in, especially post-COVID with that. And then also focusing on Tier 1 instruction and having good evidence-based programs that we're utilizing. And as you all know, we've also revamped many of those from an ELA perspective with Open Court Reading, K-5, Amplify ELA 6-8, and then our supplemental programs and special ed programs that we've purchased as well and trained all of our staff in. So I think we're in a really good position, but I wanted to provide you an update that that work is ongoing. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello. I wanted to share that the state assessments are coming up and our students with IEPs have been pre-identified for the M-STEP state assessment, and we will have their accommodations entered into the state system this week. Also, we have Medicaid staff pool list that is coming from our department, and the staff pool list was verified today and submitted, as it's done every quarter to allow us to bill for service time with our students. And Wednesday is PLC early release day. And our special education staff will be discussing specially designed instruction and how we need to tailor to the needs of all students with IEPs and goals and objectives in their lessons and activities throughout the school day. And Friday, we had Community Mental Health join us for our meeting with our social workers and teacher consultants, and they discussed processes and offerings that they have to support the community, and I thought it was a good communication with them, and we could see what they do, and we had a chance to tell them what we do here in the education world, because we don't speak the same languages sometimes, so it's good to communicate. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Nothing from operations other than we're glad it's starting to get a little bit warmer. It's easier on the systems.
Thought we were done with. I'll be presenting in a few minutes, so nothing from here tonight. Thank you.
Good evening. I'd just like to share a little bit of information regarding our cardiac emergency response training. As you're aware, the state mandated last year that we needed to have a response team in each of our schools, which we met that mandate, and we decided going into this year, based on the fact that the training that the staff performs, it's kind of perishable. They'll forget it because if we only do it once a year as mandated, it's a good chance they're not going to remember. So as of this time, we're only short one campus right now, but we've got 2 trainings in each of our buildings so far this year. What we've seen is a great improvement between the first the first training and the second training. They're acting very confident, they know what they're doing, and they know how to handle the situation, and it's going to lend itself, should something happen, we're going to be able to respond appropriately. So it's kind of gratifying to see that. So, thank you.
Thank you. All right, the next item, Bond 2020 discussion action items, asbestos abatement, Bell River, Pine River, and Palms. I just want everybody to ask Kirk all the questions they need to right now because we'll be voting on this today.
Okay, the first one is for Bell River Elementary. In order to prepare for the upcoming renovations at Bell River, it is necessary to complete abatement work before the construction begins. In conjunction with Arch Environmental, specifications were put out for bid. After completing post-bid interviews with the lowest responsive bidders, it's being recommended that BDS Environmental be awarded the bid amount, or the bid in the amount of $33,950. Palms Elementary, in order to prepare for the upcoming work at Palms, it's necessary, again, to complete the asbestos abatement work before construction begins. In conjunction with Arch Environmental Services, specifications were put out for bid. And again, after completing the post-bid interviews with the lowest responsive bidders, it's being recommended that Total Environmental Services LLC be awarded the bid in the amount of $66,900. And then I believe the last one I need to read here is Pine River. In order to prepare for the upcoming renovations at Pine River, it's necessary to complete that asbestos abatement work before the construction begins. Again, in conjunction with Arch Environmental, specifications were put out for bid. And then after completing the post-bid interviews with the lowest responsive bidders, it's being recommended that Qualified Abatement Services Incorporated be awarded the bid in the amount of $39,200. It's fortunate that we have 3 different bidders for each of the 3 schools, so the work can start immediately. It was designed that way to try to get the abatement work completed as quick as possible so we could get started with the construction. So I think it worked out pretty good through the bidding process to get what we wanted.
Where is the asbestos in Pine and Bell? Those are pretty new building, I mean, relatively
There's,
speaking.
there's late 70s, and so there's some in the mastic underneath the tile, which is the glue. You find it in a number of different materials that were built quite often through the 60s and, well, all the way from the 20s all the way up to basically the 70s. Until you get to buildings that were built like later in the 90s and 2000s, you can not really expect to see it. But those buildings, they were still putting some of it in. So we're removing all the asbestos that is in areas where we're performing the construction work.
And when are they going to start?
Right the day after school, that's all.
Okay.
Any other questions?
Thank you.
No? Thank you.
Thanks. Thanks, Kirk. All right, so we will vote on these right now. Per administration recommendation, the Board of Education approves the Bell River Elementary asbestos abatement bid to BDS Environmental in the amount of $33,950. A motion is needed.
So moved.
Support.
Any comments or questions? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. All right. Per administration recommendation, the Board of Education approves the Palms Elementary asbestos abatement bid to Total Environmental Services LLC in the amount of $66,900. Motion is needed.
So moved.
Support. Any comments or questions? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Okay, motion carries. Last but not least, per administration recommendation, the Board of Education approves Pine River Elementary asbestos abatement bid to qualified abatement services in the amount of $39,200. Motion is needed.
So, support.
Any comments or questions? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Okay, motion carries. Next item is information discussion items. Unfortunately, Lisa is not here today for the Bond 2020 update, so we'll move on to the salary schedule and Dawn Demick.
Good evening. Thank you so much for letting me talk about this tonight. Contrary to some recent social media posts, the salary schedules are not increases for any of the administrators. These are solidifying the contracts that are already in place. The reason we have to do these salary schedules is there was a lawsuit that was submitted by school administrators in other districts against the Office of Retirement Services because their retirements were not where they thought they would be. And because of that, because most administrators are not represented by a collective bargaining agreement and there's only single people in those groups, the ORS has recommended that salary schedules be developed for each of those groups so that when it comes time to audit for retirement purposes, there's a schedule that can be produced by the district supporting the salaries and the contracts that were already approved by the board previously. So really nothing changes, it just we needed to solidify it by having a salary schedule in place so that if that happens, we do have that available for ORS, which is the Office of Retirement Services, I'm
So
sorry.
no massive raises tonight.
No massive raises. Any questions? And we do ask that you approve it tonight as well, just because we have to have that available for, not that I think any of us are retiring anytime soon, but just to make sure that we have that for ORS purposes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, forward purchase of student one-to-one Chromebooks for incoming sixth graders, 26-27 school year. Craig Headley.
Good evening, everybody. So tonight, another item that we're going to ask you guys to vote on tonight. So in the last couple of weeks, a lot of things have changed. So typically I come to you in May or June and we ask, with our one-to-one program, we need Chromebooks for our sixth graders to be able to hand out on Saints and Mariners days. A couple weeks ago, I was talking to my son and he says, Dad, I'm putting together, I want to build a new gaming computer. And he goes, but, when you build a gaming computer, you buy a bunch of different parts and put them together. And he said, I went to the memory website and a memory stick was $950. So that was like a couple Saturdays ago. And so like that Sunday, you're going to bed and you're thinking about my work week and what's going to go on. And that came back to my brain and I said, wow, I heard about the memory issues. I know prices are going up, but how is that going to affect us? So Monday morning, I called our vendor that we normally use that has the state of Michigan contracting. He's like, Craig, he says, it's a perfect time. He says, I've been in 6 meetings in the last 2 weeks with vendors. If you're buying a desktop, if you're buying a laptop, and even if you're buying a Chromebook, the prices, state of Michigan prices are good through March. The new prices are come out in May, but he said those are actually going to go into the next hemisphere for certain devices. So AI technology is booming behind the scenes. All the data centers that they're doing, prices are going crazy. They're not going to be allowed to, or we're not going to see memory, and we might have supply shortages. So I want to bring to you guys tonight, I'd really like to purchase our student Chromebooks this year for what we normally in the summer, but really get that done tonight so I don't have any issues. It's a smart move for the district. Everything I read, possibly Chromebooks should go up like 30%, which is like an extra $20-some thousand, and I think if we can do it now, we should. So we'll be asking tonight if you could vote on purchasing 275 Chromebooks and licenses for $64,619.50. Okay. Any questions?
Why are they going up? Because the memory?
So, not to get in the weeds, there's minimal companies that produced computer memory, and AI is taking up over 70% of their production right now. So the little guy, and Mr. Treadway, he understands, but the little guy is being pushed out. we're not gonna get computer memory for Chromebooks because I read a number the other day, $750 billion this year of memory are gonna be going towards AI technology. So we want to be smart.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you, everybody.
All right, next item, recognition of persons wishing to address the board. We have none. All right, then the next item is closed session. Motion to move into closed session pursuant to Section 81H of the Open Meetings Act, Act 267 of 1976, for consideration of a written legal opinion. And you will be doing a roll call.
Trustee Chuck?
Yes.
Vice President Hazel?
Yes.
Trustee Billy?
Yes.
Secretary Becker?
Yes.
Treasurer Treadaway?
Yes.
Trustee Seer?
Yes.
And President Westbrook?
Yes. Okay, we'll be back shortly.
The preceding program was produced by CTV Community Television. CTV Community Television is supported by the cities of Marine City and St. Clair, East China Township, Cotterville Township, and the East China School District.